So what's this? Sir Swag. I've never seen this channel. Saw it pop up on the homepage. I always give homepage stuff a view, wherever YouTube thinks that the algorithm deserves me to bestow upon with my eyes, bequeath it the gift of my vision and my reaction. I oblige. So, this is something that looks interesting. It's called We Talked to a YouTube Whistleblower. Someone within YouTube, within the company, in the back rooms like this dwelling, deciding who to make, you know, famous. YouTube famous. They're sitting there deciding. What's this whistleblower going to whistleblow about?
As soon as people understand what happens internally, there will be absolute destruction. This was a line said by a former Google support worker, and after a 2.5-hour
Google
interview, this absolutely wasn't an exaggeration. Ladies, gentlemen, and streamers who were bullied into watching this over their lunch break, let's get you up to speed. On the 11th of December 2024, our channel was hacked and subsequently turned into a crypto scam, before eventually...
What the fuck are we watching? Where's this channel? Who are these people? Sir Swag, you got hacked and turned into what? A crypto scam? Can we trust you? Can we trust you with information?
being terminated. We would then spend the next 2 months wrestling with YouTube support systems, desperately trying to get the channel back online. With the help of a much larger creator, the channel was eventually restored 64 days later. We had enough evidence of the hack that not even the best lawyers on the planet could win a case against us. But it legitimately took that long to find someone at the company to care. We'll skip all the absurd...
No one cares. They must get the workload and just keep passing it on. Pass it on to Tim, on to John, on to Claire, on to fucking Karen, on to John, on to Claire, on to fucking Stephen, on to John. John looks at it 15 years later. I saw this 15 years ago. On to Claire.
Details of just how difficult it was to get to that point. But if you want the full story, we'll leave a link to that in the description. Fast forward to after our restoration, and we'd then be contacted by the aforementioned former Google support worker. For obvious reasons, they requested anonymity, but we'll just call them Jim. And to say he was disgruntled would be an understatement. If you thought YouTube didn't care about its creators before you watched this, then you're about to realize that it really has...
We removed the dislike button to help small creators. So y'all actually listen to small creators when they tell you they don't want this? True.
Absolutely zero respect for the people who make videos on the platform. The support worker in question was employed at a company subcontracted by Google to handle its support system, and he worked at multiple levels and positions over a period of roughly 4 years.
Alright, man, like Jim.
One of the first things that Jim pointed out after watching our first video was that nearly all the emails we had been receiving from YouTube's support service weren't actually composed by a human. As he explained, their support interface was mostly the same as what was available to the general public.
Pass it on to Claire, on to John, on to Stephen, fuck off.
With the major difference being a button that could compose an email response on their behalf. Jim would explain the process, quote, "We choose whatever article we need. We have a button called Do It For Me. I just click it, it creates an email here, and it's already written. Everything is written. All I have to do is change the date and check if the address is correct with yours."
Well, and they're working from home doing this.
I press send, and just like that, and it's gone. My case is closed. Tech companies using...
Job done, and then I press play on the Netflix show that I was watching. Fuck off, peasant.
Automated messages is hardly new, and if the AI-generated responses were helpful or relevant, it might not have been a problem. But as we discussed in the previous video, this was not the case. In our situation, YouTube's AI bot stated that to verify our ownership of the channel, we either needed to go through our channel partner or our MCN. This was a problem. To start with the partner manager, we didn't actually have one. In fact, after talking to another contact within YouTube, we don't even qualify for one. As for our MCN, They went completely dark at the start of 2020, and no attempts to make contact were met with a reply. So the two options given to us by this AI bot literally didn't exist. As it turned out, our MCN was actually owned by the ESL Sports Company, which was then acquired by another holding company owned by the fucking Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. A few helpful contacts were actually able to speak to people within ESL, and they had no fucking idea they even had an MCN. So according to YouTube, the one shot we had to save the channel was a company at the bottom of the Saudi Investment Fund, which the Saudi government probably didn't even know they owned. The fate of the channel was in the hands of an AI bot, which was as dispassionate as it was useless. Jim himself was so confident that this email was AI generated that he was willing to bet his entire yearly salary on it. We should also keep in mind that Swag, being the channel owner, sent YouTube a mountain of proof verifying his identity. This included 5 years of exact monthly ad revenue statements. A 39-page report from...
Did it say 5 years?
Channel owner sent YouTube a mountain of proof verifying his identity. This included 5 years of...
5 years? He gave them... It's like, what more evidence do you fucking cunts need? What more fucking evidence do you need, you shitters? Here's 5 years of my fucking evidence. Okay, no. YouTube got to pull their finger out of their bumhole.
Exact monthly ad revenue statements. A 39-page report from a computer hacking forensic investigator and a signed verification letter from the managing director of the advertising agency he'd been partnered with for 5 years.
That's
not that
crazy,
it fucking mattered,
bro.
because if YouTube couldn't be bothered to type out a reply, they sure as shit couldn't be bothered to actually read the email.
Yeah, they don't give a fucking
shit. As pointed out by Jim, another really obvious tell that these replies were automated was that they used the fucking hacker's email address when explaining the recovery process. You can even see the Russian domain, for fuck's sake. As Jim would explain, the support workers themselves rarely gave a fuck about reaching desired outcomes. And from his...
Yo, that's fucked up, man. They're doing no due diligence. They're doing nothing. What the fuck?
Description, you can't exactly blame them.
Yo,
here's how he would explain
that's hilarious.
A few years into the job. Quote, you get a different fucking position, but you don't get a fucking pay rise. That's the plus, working for a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You would get a small bonus and stuff, but still, the pay rise was non-existent, basically. Overtime was paid 1.5 times the hourly rate. That's why I ended up working
overtime, so that's why.
Hours.
So they done it like that. They incentivized overtime. But that's it.
A week. It was COVID time. We'd work from home. I'd have an open laptop on my right side and I'm sitting playing Counter-Strike.
Worse. It's worse than what I said, Netflix. It's fucking playing Counter-Strike.
I played so many games through that time. It was a minimum wage job with horrible hours, a lot of responsibilities, and a bunch of shit to remember. For the pay that they're giving you, you think I'm gonna be a
I've played so many games through that time. That's so funny.
Responsible adult? No. Not for that. The only reason I stayed there was because of COVID, and because it was permanent work from home. It was the worst, best time. I became an alcoholic. I became a game addict. I became a gambler. I became fat.
It was the demise of his life. Oh my god.
But hey, we're home.
That's
magic.
Funny, my
Jim
bro.
would also explain that support workers had different tiers based on their responsibilities and authority. For example, Tier 1, the lowest tier, always used AI-generated responses, which is why 90% of the emails our channel received...
So that job will be so easy. That's probably why they don't get paid hardly anything. They just got to press a button to get the robot to do it. Just press a button. Do it for me. And then play Counter-Strike. Fucking hell.
Was almost certainly from Tier 1.
That's
Tier 2
hilarious.
had a bit more authority, and was called upon when the Tier 1s couldn't resolve an issue. According to Jim, however, it was only the Tier 3s who actually had the power and autonomy to assist a more complex issue like ours, as these were the managers who had greatly expanded authority. Although he would go on to comment that they never escalated related cases due to internal policies. Just in case you missed that. We were stuck talking to people who only ever responded with AI-generated messages, had absolutely no authority to help or escalate our case, and had sent us on a wild goose chase to track down a long-lost Saudi Arabian-owned company that may or may not even exist. Just as a reminder, this is 100% of Swag's livelihood, and the only way to get it back was to somehow get through this Imperium of Man-style mega bureaucracy that swallowed everything
this is
it touched.
Nightmare.
Agents call this Microsoft Excel.
It's like being trapped in an asylum with everyone insisting that you're insane. At this point, you might be wondering how a YouTube creator would ever recover a hacked channel if they had to go through a support system so dysfunctional. Unfortunately, they don't. Over Jim's 4 years on the job, he saw exactly 0 hacking incidents get resolved, as the policy was to just dismiss the case.
He saw 0. That's terrible, man. What are they fucking doing?
Apparently, this was a pretty common policy within the support department.
True.
And huge, glaring problems were often never fixed. Things would get even worse when we start getting into Google's cost-cutting measures. As Jim also acted as a quality manager for some of the offshore support centers. He would go on to explain situations where the support workers themselves didn't even speak the same language as the people they were supposed to assist.
That's where nightmares begin.
They would just run their cases through Google Translate and use AI-generated responses to reply.
Oh, nah, man. Nah.
When asked whether our case was handled by such a support worker, Jim would respond, "From what I've seen, I'm more than sure your case was not touched by a human." Apparently it was too much of a fucking luxury to even get our case handled by a person who doesn't understand English. It's hard to even envision a standard of support any...
This literally will be like this. A fucking madhouse in there, just shitters everywhere.
Lower. Okay, so you have a YouTube channel and you just got hacked by a crypto scammer. What can you actually do to get it fixed?
Nothing.
According to our former YouTube support worker, you have 3 viable options.
Okay.
The first is knowing someone on the inside.
So how, what the fuck, how will a normal person have connections on the inside? What the fuck are you talking about?
Thankfully, we got bailed out by a much larger creator who did actually know someone inside the company. But what if you're not so lucky? The second option is the legal route. This is obviously a lot more expensive.
Go down the legal route, they say. Go on. You pay for it. Fuck off.
But as soon as you get a lawyer to submit a legal notice, the company's AI sends it straight to the legal department. Google spends more on its legal team than the annual budgets of some small island nations, so they still get to choose whether or not they give a fuck. The third option is to simply have enough clout. You might expect that YouTube has preferential
that's bullshit,
treatment
that is.
unofficially.
I would have wagered that this would be the case, that preferential treatment bullshit.
When it comes to their creators. But as Jim would explain, it's a solidified feature within the company. In his own words, quote, "I think if it's more than 5,000 likes or something, we have to escalate it straight to management, and then they investigate what the hell is happening. That's why outrage on Twitter is a lot more effective than going to the support. So there is preferential treatment. I mean, we kind of know there's preferential treatment. You could just buy a Chinese bot farm. I would say that would give you like 30% more chance of getting recovered. Not 100, but you would get eyes of higher management on your case instantly. They're obligated to escalate those kinds of things. It's probably not all too comforting for someone who just lost their livelihood to hear, 'Sorry, you didn't get enough internet points on Twitter for us to give a fuck.'"
Yeah, that's some fucking bullshit, that is.
But that's the reality. In fact, when another channel reached out to us after getting hacked themselves...
Guys, I have an update for the hacking situation. Another creator reached out and told me they got hacked. I then suggested they use the Chinese bot farm method that the YouTube support guy told me, and it fucking worked. not only worked, but he got his channel back in 4 hours.
We suggested the
So you got to do fucking Chinese bot farms in order to fix it. So you got to... fucking hell.
Chinese bot farm idea as a first
It's
step.
a nightmare.
Within just 4 hours of posting that tweet, their account was reinstated and he was back online. It's not about right and wrong at YouTube. It's just how much you can publicly embarrass them.
That's what it seems like. That was my suspicion, you fucking fucks.
Into giving a fuck. As Jim would explain, YouTube's favoritism was deeply ingrained into its support system, and there were even internal guidelines for what constitutes a successful YouTube channel. You have to have at least 1 million subscribers, and you have to have watch time and stuff. When you open the ticket, we can see how cool you are. Basically, the internal tool that we used would have a sign stating that this is a high-value customer. That had its own tiers, like silver, gold, platinum, diamond, etc. In the guidelines, it would state that if the channel didn't have that sign, and we manually can confirm that it has like 100k or 1 million subs, then we should bow to the customer's ticket, basically. Putting aside the fact that channels were being internally ranked like they were queuing for competitive, Jim seemed to confirm how deep this favoritism was baked into the system. He would continue to talk about cases of preferential treatment. Quote, "I wish Mr. Beast's channel would get hacked like this. I would love to see how fast they're going to resolve it. It's
within
Mr. Beast is bringing in so much money. Jesus Christ. They just don't care. Nobody cares. Higher management doesn't care at all. They only care when it's related to money. You're not money for them. You're a cup of coffee in the morning."
Fucking hell.
Jim would state that this preferential treatment didn't just extend to high-profile YouTube creators. He would recount one story while working on the Play Store team. "We had a guy that spent yearly over $300,000 in like 4 fucking games. His account got hacked. He got it back, but the dude who stole his account sold every item in the game. An amount of money that was fucking ridiculous, you know? And Google refunded him everything. Because they know that in the long term, you're going to bring more money for them. And that's the preferential treatment that they have. How much money and influence you can bring to them. That's how much they can go for you. I'm telling you, the bureaucracy in that company is so fucking, excuse me, retarded. It's horrible.
I can imagine.
So bad. When our channel got hacked, we legitimately considered hiring billboard space, or flying a sky banner over YouTube's San Bruno headquarters to get eyes on our case.
That would be hilarious.
Jim, this isn't as crazy as it seems. Commenting on the
that'd be hilarious.
He would say, quote,
"It seems like this is the only way that you can get their attention if, you know, such an unfortunate thing like that happens. Like, you got to do something fucking outrageous to get their attention. It's ridiculous, to be honest."
That would actually
dealing with that,
because you would set a precedent, and every motherfucker with money would do that. Absolutely. It's cheaper than attorneys and shit. Everyone would start doing that. What they absolutely don't want is to have any direct interaction with you guys. Never. It's the worst possible thing. Because the level of bureaucracy is so high. That's why YouTube channel managers don't like doing that shit too. Because getting an answer is borderline impossible. It has to go to one person, to a second person, to a third person, till there is a person with the access to that information and they might or might not give it to you. Jim also made it abundantly clear that actually fixing a hacked channel is very easy in a technical sense. But the process to do so is just drowned in a sea of bureaucracy.
Fucking useless. This is what hinders progress.
It's devastating.
And it's across everywhere in fucking society. You see it everywhere, this bureaucratic bullshit.
Because there are hundreds of channels that get hacked. And I know that they have the tools to fix it. They have tools to block it. They just don't use them because of bureaucracy. It's gonna take so much time and money, but it will bring no profit for them.
Useless.
So it makes no sense to do it. That's all. That's how it is. Jim also explained that if a Tier 3 support worker actually looked at a hacking case, they could almost immediately identify the hack and restore the channel within minutes.
I'm pretty sure that it's so easy, but it's got to get to a fucking escalator to that level. Fucking hell.
Confirm that Google can access
a nightmare, to be honest,
information about a user's account, meaning the only thing stopping a hacking case from being solved are the company's internal policies. Since releasing our first video, we've been approached by other people who have had similar stories trying to have their own Google accounts restored. One user even told us that after his account was hacked, he lost all the pictures he had of his deceased father that were stored on Google's cloud service. For a company whose motto used to be "Don't be evil," that sure sounds really fucking evil. So
Yeah.
just to recap, YouTube's support service uses people who might not even speak your language, replies using AI-generated responses, won't escalate account-related problems under any circumstances, and internally ranks users to measure how much they should give a fuck. It should be obvious by now that this is absolutely an unacceptable state of affairs for YouTube and Google at large. If YouTube is going to be so insistent that being a YouTube creator is worth a person's time, then the absolute minimum standard of support should be helping these people when they absolutely need it.
Yeah,
Our channel
you
was
fuckers.
incredibly lucky to be restored after the hack, and even then it took over 2 full months for YouTube to actually do anything. Let's not forget that, as we've established, YouTube can absolutely fix these issues within a matter of minutes, if you can make them care enough.
Fucking
Instead,
cunts.
its default answer to someone's livelihood being stripped away is to just send them down an endless AI-generated wild
Yeah.
goose chase that under no circumstances will ever lead to their issue being resolved.
Yeah,
Most
like, why?
creators aren't going to have the clout to embarrass YouTube enough to help, or know someone on the inside. This means that their best option is to either give money to a Chinese bot farm or spend a small fortune on a lawyer. We didn't just
Yeah.
make this video to spite YouTube either, because as much as our experience sucked dealing with their 8 circles of support hell, we wouldn't wish it on our worst enemy. Ideally, we'd like YouTube to look into their support systems and
Yeah,
patch
fix
these
it.
obviously enormous gaps.
Yeah.
Not only are a lot of people getting seriously screwed by YouTube's apathy, but hackers are specifically targeting YouTube channels because they know just how useless YouTube is to stop them. YouTube itself is the second most visited website on the internet, and that fact is absolutely owed to the creators
Crazy.
who make YouTube what it is. It's absolutely fucking unfathomable that these are the very same people who have to hire a lawyer or pay money for fake likes on a separate platform to receive even the most basic level of help. With
I
Google's
appreciate you, Father.
bottomless pit of resources,
I
it
really
would be
do.
truly embarrassing if this wasn't a problem they thought worthy to fix.
That's fucking, that's quite shit, innit? To know that. What a great channel. I'll give that a sub and a like. Obviously, I'll put it in the description when the time comes. But, yeah, that's like a nightmare. Your channel gets hacked, you might as well hire the Chinese bot farm. Seems like it's the only way. Especially if you're a small creator and you haven't got clout or whatever, then you're basically fucked. They're a massive channel. That's a fucking massive channel. And they didn't give a shit about them. Imagine someone smaller. You know, we'll be fried. You're just like, fuck it, just make another channel. You know what I mean? You just won't bother, just fuck it, make another channel. Or not even go on there no more. I'll probably go to Rumble. If something like that happened, I'll be gone. But yeah, YouTube better look. It's great having videos like this because it seems YouTube, you know, is again a victim of getting its anal, you know, absolutely smashed in by that demon called clout. All it cares about is clout. So the only way to communicate with YouTube and the AI that's running YouTube, that, you know, so it seems, fucking the only way to get their attention is via the demon that is smashing in their anal, their little brown hole. Clout. So you have to get them through clout to get their attention, which is fucking miserable, you know, considering the fact that YouTube is literally made by the creators. It's the people that are doing it. It's the people that are bringing the for it to be the second most visited website in the world. It's the independent creators, the people that are bringing the people there, that are bringing all them clicks and all that ad revenue there. It's the people, the independent creators that are doing that. And you're making their life a nightmare in order to do something that's, you know, ultimately benefiting you as a company. You fucking demons, sort it out, at least sort it out. But anyway,